So, are asexuals queer? Well, my answer is yes. Yes, asexuals are queer, even if they're heteroromantic. And here's why. I personally have always felt at home in queer spaces. Before I realized I was asexual, which is a hell of a long time ago, I identified as bisexual. So, even when I switched to identifying as asexual, I always felt really at home in queer spaces, but I realized that that alone does not a queer make. So I will say that I've been kind of, ooh, excuse me. I have been sort of attacked for my sexuality, you could say. Um, there is in particular this one friend from church named Tony who who one day decided to kind of confront me via text about my asexuality. And he told me that he thought that my mom was playing games with my head. And that's why I identify as asexual, and I'm not really asexual. Um, I remember my therapist for a long time, although I wouldn't consider her queerphobic. Um, for a long time, my therapist thought that I needed to just find the right person. Luckily, she's gotten rid of this bias. Um, but yeah, she was thinking that for a while. But back to Tony. Yes, he did attack me for my sexuality. He said that he thinks asexuality belongs in the DSM, or in his words that it belongs in an abnormal psychology textbook. Um, you really can't get much worse than that. Um, and then there was Vidal, who said that I couldn't be asexual because I'm not a virgin. And who constantly hounded me for naked pictures, even when I made it clear that I was uncomfortable. Of course, that's just general, not sexual assault exactly, but sexual harassment. And that, unfortunately, is faced by pretty much all women at some point in their lives. Um, and then there was this one remark made by a girl named Sophie at the UCLA psych ward. And when I told her that I was asexual, she was like, "But don't you ever get horny?" And you can't really interpret that as an asexual harassment anything, but it's like, if somebody came out as a lesbian, would you say that to them? Um, I also once had a good friend ask me if I masturbate, which is again something you would not say to a allosexual person. Um, but one of the worst things that I can remember is my second girlfriend. And she once said, when she was complaining that I wouldn't have sex with her, that she had assumed when she started dating me that in a few days that I would change my mind about being asexual and, fuck her. So of course, that didn't happen. So that relationship was a disaster. And she also thought that queer platonic relationships were for people who can't get real relationships, which sucks. Um, and of course, I do remember this one guy on OkCupid, um, who who was like, "Oh, I'm sure I could arouse you," and I'm like, "Well, I said, well, I'm sure you could too. But asexuality is not about arousal; it's about attraction." And then he shut up. So I can't say that all just these individual things, you know, make me queer, but I do feel like asexual people face a certain culture that other sexualities do not face. So I would argue that yes, this does make us queer. And I remember telling my mom after my church friend Tony had basically said that asexuality belongs in the DSM, that, I've never felt more queer in my entire life than when he was saying that. So yeah, that is my, as they would say on the PBS NewsHour, brief but spectacular take on why asexuals are queer. And like, subscribe, especially subscribe. Thank you. And my, oh, I have have a story for you next time. So watch my next video.